All right, welcome back. I'm Chef Steve Alls, and with me is Kroger's Chef Tanner LaPrade. Chef, I'm a big meat and potatoes guy, and there's just something awful good about meat that cooks with the bone still in. Why don't you show us how it's done?
All right, well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about this big pork chop we got right here.
That's a big one. That's like a T-bone, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It's a T-bone of the pig. And basically, this one's a little bit big. This is a big boy piece of meat right here.
Thick too, isn't it?
Yeah, this is about 6 to 8 ounces, which if you're going to make them home for a family, you don't want to do them this big. You can do them a little bit smaller. But we're going to sear this thing off in the cast iron skillet. It's the only way to cook pork. In my eyes, cast iron skillet is the way to go.
You know how I feel, man. Any kind of meat, searing it in a cast iron skillet is better than the grill.
That's right. That's right. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started here with, I'm going to put this on in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and start with these fingerling potatoes and shallots. Now, I like a shallot because it's kind of a mix between a garlic and an onion, so it's sweet and garlicky at the same time. So to start off, we're going to oil our skillet, which is already turned on. So I'm going to put, I don't know, probably a tablespoon or so of oil in there.
Just enough to coat the bottom of the pan.
That's exactly right. Yep.
There we go.
Then we're going to go ahead and throw all this in. It's going to be just a one pot dish here. Salt and pepper.
There we go. Yeah, you got to have salt on potatoes, definitely.
Oh, yes. And a lot of cracked pepper.
Now, I see you're leaving those shallots whole when roasting them, right?
Oh, yeah, because what you want to think is once you cook onions, they're going to get smaller. So what we want these to do is cook down and kind of caramelize and get real gooey and sticky, and they're just going to shrivel up and be real sweet. So these are in here. Just kind of I got a little oil here.
Coat them a little bit.
Coat them with some oil, that's right. And these take about 45 minutes to roast to be nice and soft. They want to be fork tender, so you can just kind of eat them. Not like smushy, but real soft. All right, and then we're going to take our big pork chop right here.
And I see you've already seasoned that. Just salt and pepper, right?
Salt and pepper and a little bit of olive oil. I cook my pork just like I do my steaks. Salt and pepper, olive oil.
That's all you need.
That's exactly right. You want to taste the meat, not so much the seasoning.
Right.
All right.
That's going to sizzle there. Oh, yeah.
So, all right, so we got this in here, and what we're going to do with this is we're going to cook it about 3 or 4 minutes on each side to kind of get a good sear on there. The sear is going to give it real good flavor. Then we're going to roast it in the oven because it's going to take a little while since it's a big piece of meat.
Yeah, while this is actually seared and caramelized on this side, I wanted to thank our sponsors, Echipanis Bread. And for foodies, this is a great kitchen, isn't it? I wish I had this set up in my house.
Oh, me too, man.
All the marble
really nice.
and the gas, it's awesome. And they actually do cooking classes. And if you're ever looking to just increase your culinary knowledge, I recommend you give foodies a call and come on by.
All right, so with this right here, I'm just go ahead. Now, what you want to do is when you're roasting these potatoes, you want to keep just kind of move them around every once in a while, because you don't want them to kind of burn on one side.
Yeah, they're going to have to evenly cook.
That's exactly right. So just kind of toss these around, and then I'm just going to flip this piece of meat over. And then what we're going to do is Steve's going to finish it in the oven. We're going to put it in the oven for us, and then after that, we're going to roll right into making a sage butter for it.
You know, one thing about fingerling potatoes is it's kind of a chef being a little bit lazy, isn't it? Instead of having to cut up potatoes and put them in there, all you have to do is just throw them in there and do it, huh?
People think they're the best thing, and they're good potatoes, but they're real easy.
I'm going to stick this in the oven.
All right, thank you. All right, and what I'm going to do is I've got 1 stick of butter, and in this butter, I've got some sage and some thyme that I'm going to put in here.
And that butter is really soft looking, isn't it? That's the key to making the butter like
That's
this, right?
That's exactly right. This butter needs to set at room temperature for at least an hour to get good and soft. If not, you need to do it in the food processor. So this is going to be the best way to do it.
Now, see, you're using fresh herbs here.
That's exactly right. Fresh is the best way to go. Fresh herbs taste better. You know, they're a lot cheaper than buying a big container of bulk herbs. It's going to go bad after a while. Rule of thumb is about 6 months on dried herbs. And then this right here is going to be a lot better in flavor. It's not going to be all dried up and nasty. It's going to taste a lot better.
And thyme is a very fragrant herb anyway.
Yes, it's one of my favorite. Like rosemary, thyme, and sage are like my 3 favorite ingredients to cook with in the kitchen.
You like those woodsy herbs, don't
Yes,
you?
that's exactly right. All right, so we got a little bit of thyme in
Looks
there.
like you've got about a tablespoon of each, right?
Yeah,
Is
I
what
would
you're
say
looking
about a
for?
tablespoon. And on the sage, what I like to do is just kind of put all these together, and then we're going to chop them.
Boy, you really smell that right when you're cutting that, don't you?
Oh yeah, sage is awesome, especially with pork. I mean, it's hand and foot. Sausage, like bulk sausage, it has sage in it. That's that main flavor in sausage. So it's just like the best thing for pork.
And turkey too around the holidays.
Oh
so.
yeah, that's for sure. All right.
So what are you going to do with this now?
All right. Well, I'm going to put some pepper in there. Fresh cracked pepper. It's the only way to go. And I like a lot of pepper in mine, so I'm going to probably put, I'd say about a teaspoon in there. Salt. Just a good pinch of salt. A little bit of olive oil.
Why are you putting the olive oil in there?
Well, I like to put a little bit of olive oil in there because it adds a little bit to it. I like the olive oil's taste. It tastes good, and it's going to make it a little more of like a dressing than just like a butter. Then I'm just going to mix it up.
Look how soft that butter is.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
mixes right together whatever you put into it.
That's exactly right.
Tanner, while you're finishing stirring that and getting that together, I'm going to pull this big hunk of meat out of the
Oh
oven.
yeah, that's right. Oh man, that looks good.
There you go.
All right.
And you've got actually a pretty neat way of plating this up, don't
That's
you?
exactly right. I have a really old piece of barnwood right here.
Here, I'll hold that for you while
All
you
right.
do that.
And then just a really old cast iron skillet. It's just a neat look. You know, cooking is really just all about being creative. And so if you got some really cool old stuff laying around, or you find something at an antique store or something that looks neat, why not put some food in it?
Look at that.
There you go. And then with the butter, I'm just going to put just a little bit of this butter right on top of it. You don't need a lot.
And it'll start to melt down
Yeah,
a
it's
little
going to
bit,
melt,
won't it?
and it's going to add a nice flavor to that pork. You
There
get
you
that
go.
good sage flavor to it.
Look at that. Isn't that nice? When we come back, you're not going to believe what we're about to do with some strawberries. Stick around, everybody.